Hi everybody, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Welcome back to our vegetable garden in Spokane, Washington, where the hardiness zone ranges from 5B to 6A. Now last night Bill and I just returned from a wonderful trip to the Provence region of France. It was fabulous, but of course all the time I was thinking about how is the vegetable garden doing? And I wanted to show you our broccoli plants today because I want to emphasize how and when to harvest your broccoli heads and the importance of getting them harvested at the right time. So if you've seen my videos before, you know this is the broccoli bed. You can see that there are hoops on here, and agricultural insect netting is what's protecting the plants from things like aphids, cabbage worms, and cabbage moths, so we don't get those horrible caterpillars. The other thing I did before we left on our trip is I had suspended some shade cloth over the bed because I wanted to try to protect the plants from intense heat. And we did have some pretty warm days while we were gone. So let me uncover this and wait till you see the heads on the broccoli. So here is the first peek at the broccoli plants. Now just for a little bit of background, Belstar is the variety of broccoli that I've been growing for the last few years, and I am so pleased with it. So right before we left on our trip, I checked on the heads and they were about this big, and they were very tight. I knew it was way too soon to harvest them. And so again, I put the shade cloth over the top, hoping to slow them down a little bit, and I thought, okay, what are they going to look like in 2 weeks' time? Well, you can see they are huge. Some of them are in pretty good shape. A couple of them are just going over, but I'm still going to use them. So let's take a look at what we've got. So here is the first head. You can see it's pretty loose. What you're really looking for in an ideal situation is a somewhat firm head that has a teensy bit of softness to it, and where the florets have not opened up, which is what they're starting to do. So what I'm going to do is cut it off of the plant just below the end of where the head is. There we go. So again, still very usable, but not ideal. Just take these leaves off out of the way. Here's head number 2, and same thing, it's loosened up quite a bit, but it's still very usable. Thank goodness. Look at the size of that. Take the leaves off. And there we are. Here's the third one. That's a pretty nice looking head. Again, a little bit loose, but still good. And I wanted to clarify, the leaves are edible. I'm just separating them so that I can focus on the heads for the moment. Now, before I proceed to the next plant, I wanted to clarify something, and I'm hoping you can see it all right. So why am I cutting off the head at the base of it rather than just yanking up the whole plant? Well, the great news is that these plants are only just getting started producing for me. They're going to form a whole bunch of secondary heads that I can harvest. And one of the things I love about Belstar broccoli is that it gives you harvest after harvest after harvest. And those secondary heads, which in the past with other varieties tend to be small, these ones produce large secondary heads. So here's the fourth plant, and I wanted to give you a little bit of a different angle so you can see how I'm choosing where to cut the heads off. So you can see this is a Whopper head, and it basically goes down to about here. So that's why I'm cutting so low. Now let me show you this head. Now that's a head of broccoli. This is why I love Bellstar so much. It is a little bit soft, but actually this one is in the best shape of all, so I'm pretty tickled. So all of this is usable, even down here. Now if you're wondering what all of these flowers are, Bill had planted a bunch of leftover onion seedlings in this bed, and of course they're trying to take over the planet, and they have gone to flower. We'll still harvest and use the plants, and probably the sooner the better, but that's what this is all about. They're not part of the broccoli plants. Now here's the next head, another Whopper, going down to the base of it and sawing it off the stem. Look at that. So the whole point of getting these heads off, since they have reached maturity and a little bit more, is because now the plants will be able to focus their energy on producing those side shoots or secondary heads that I mentioned earlier. Here's the 6th head. Wow. Here's the second to last one. Very nice. Again, a little on the loose side, but not too bad. And here's the last one. This is probably the most open, but we'll still be eating it. Now, as you saw at the beginning of this video, I've got these hoops to support the agricultural insect netting. That's to keep the damaging insects away from the plants. We have no insect damage whatsoever, which is awesome. And then, of course, when I put all of that back on, I'm going to put the shade cloth on the top as well. But there's something important that I want to do now while I have everything uncovered, and that is to tidy up the bed a little bit. As the broccoli plants grow, some of their leaves die near the bottom. I want to strip those off, and I'm also going to remove any lower leaves that are pushing out on the insect netting, even though it's a large sheet of netting, so it's not like it's letting any insects in, but just to kind of clean things up. If I see any weeds in here, I'm going to pull them too, because this is the perfect time to take care of that. I mentioned how I like to take advantage of the fact that the bed was uncovered so I could clean up the plants a bit, and I did remove quite a lot of leaves. This is only part of them. I have a tip to share with you to help cut down on the amount of cabbage butterflies and moths that visit your garden. Anytime I'm going to add the leaves of any type of cabbage family crops to our compost pile, I bury them within it. I don't put them right on the top where a passing cabbage butterfly will go, oh, looky, here's a nice place to lay some eggs, so that she gets all kinds of problems. So if you have a compost pile, definitely cover any types of leaves from cabbage family crops rather than putting them on the top of your compost pile. So here is my first harvest of the Bellstar plants for 2025. So what am I going to do with all of this broccoli? Well, I'm a very happy camper because I've got all kinds of plants. First of all, I'll take one of the heads and I'm going to cut them up into bite-sized chunks and make a cold broccoli salad. So that will be a nice summertime treat for dinner. With the other ones, I'm going to do something called blanching so that I can freeze them for later use. Blanching involves putting the cut up broccoli into boiling water for 3 minutes. Then you take them and put them into a sink filled with cold water so they cool down. Then you let them dry, and then you put them into freezer bags to put into your freezer and enjoy later. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I think it might be fun to do some every now and then on harvesting your vegetables, because that's the whole point of growing them, right? Thanks so much for watching today. Happy gardening!